When people are faced with a disaster, only about 10% manage to do the right thing. 20% panic and end up doing something that makes matters worse. And the remaining 70 freeze, struck motionless by shock. In times like these, people need a leader to guide them. You're the one who can tame this chaos and protect the people here. Destroyer of Asakusa.
Hello everybody, MegaZardX here. I'm back at it again to give y'all another Fire Force episode review, and this time we're going to be going over episode 14, For Whom the Flame Burns. And if you haven't already checked out my episode 13 review of Fire Force, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner and check that video out, and then come back and check this one though. But overall, oh man, this episode, oh boy, there's just a lot, and I mean a lot to talk about. Not just only in terms of like the cool animation and the cool fight scenes and all though, but something super weird and something super freaky happens with Shinra, and this is basically progressing all of this plot in terms of, you know, maybe the connection between him and what will be the, you know, the evangelist with the white clad and everything else, and the connection with his brother and all of that. We've got like one little piece of this puzzle that we're able to kind of plug into this overall plot, and this thing really starts to shake up quite a bit of things with Fire Force in terms of its overall plot though. But overall, this episode was really good. I liked it from start to finish, but there's just quite a bit to talk about. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump up into this episode review of Fire Force.
Do you hear me? Asakusa! All of you start beating the crap out of each other! Don't worry about who's fake or real! The people of Asakusa won't lose to a bunch of imposters! Don't worry about the fires and the infernals either! Company 7 will take care of that! Alright, now let's see those fists fly!
In this episode, we learn a lot more about Shinra's ability and how it possibly connects with all of the different infernals. Also, Benny is by far a beast and one of the best fire soldiers out there that we've seen thus far in this anime. As Asukasa burns around them, Konra had to once again encourage Benimaru to step into the role as a community leader, because there was this pure chaos going around the streets, people kind of beating up against each other for no good reason, and it was just complete utter chaos. Benimaru then devises a way for the townspeople to foil the designs of the imposters among the crowd, and that is by telling everyone to fight each other. I thought this was funny to see everyone basically just happy to beat each other up, because man, this society, at least on this side of town, this is like the hood side of town, because people just really like to fight and throw down like you wouldn't even imagine. And we even got to see Maki and Tamaki exchanging a punch, and it looks so similar to one of those classic Dragon Ball Z kind of punches where both of them land a punch at the same time. So that in itself kind of gave me a good chuckle though. But anyway, we get to see Shinra's and Arthur's battle continue with the fire archer and the man that was wielding the double-sided blade. However, the man swallowed that fire bug, and he didn't just turn into any regular infernal, but he actually turned into a full-on demonoid version of an infernal. This is the same type of infernal that plagued Benimaru's past as well. So this demon went in guns a-blazing against Shinra and Arthur, and they couldn't even hold a candle against this guy. But in the midst of all of this, some super freaky stuff happens with Shinra. And oh boy, now let's talk about that scene of one of Shinra's, or both of Shinra's legs basically turning into skeletons. Now that in itself was wild, because I was looking at that and the way how they had that like musical effect, and they emphasized this so long. Like if you look at the screen time and you look how long, it was like almost, I want to say it was like almost 7 to 10 seconds of them just showing, you know, how his legs were, you know, it went from normal just to like looking like weird skeleton bones like that. And I was like, what the heck is happening with him? But then all of a sudden, you know, Shinra, you know, yells, and then, you know, when he looks at him again, you know, they turn back to, you know, his regular old feet. So I really like how this scene was portrayed, and it gave a little bit of information as to what the Adola burst might be from what the Fire Archer told Shinra, he has the Adola link, and she mentions that he doesn't belong to the Fire Force at all, which is kind of, strange and weird, because at first we kind of knew that the Dola Burst basically is kind of like the fire, the fire that kind of, it's like a fire that's basically like the source of all different other fires, according to what they're kind of claiming this Adola Burst to be. So I'm thinking that this Adola Burst is kind of like, he might have some connections not only with just all Infernals, but I think he has connections with basically anybody that uses any kind of kinetic powers at all, period. And that can be anybody from the Infernal side or anybody that's like a fire soldier. And I'll talk about I'll basically talk about what I'm trying to get about in terms of him having a connection with other fire soldiers here in just a little bit, though. But overall, just seeing that little scene with him having his feet turn into straight up skeletons was really freaky in itself. Now, the fight against the Demon Infernal was one of the best opportunities to see Benny's flex his abilities. We've been told that he's the mightiest, but seeing it in action definitely helped. So essentially, Arthur and Shinra really couldn't hold a candle against that Infernal. So Benimaru came in and was like, alright, you know what? He started exchanging some blows with this dude, and it seemed like they were sort of kind of evenly matched, as what you might predict from, Benimaru being the quote-unquote the strongest, fire soldier, and especially the strongest fire captain among all the different captains among all the different companies. But anyway, they were exchanging blows, and then Benimaru was like, all right, I'm not going to be able to essentially, take care of this demonoid infernal here on the street, so I'm going to have to take you to a safe area where I can basically, deal with you there, because the explosion might be really big and really devastating, so you have to, think about the people first. So anyway, he hopped on one of his flaming monsters and basically started, he basically zoomed in and basically swiped up that demonoid infernal and was taking him up into the sky, so that way he can kind of deliver his final blow. But in the midst of all of that, we saw the Fire Archer come up here out of the corner and was like, you know what? I ain't gonna let that go down. You can't take out my buddy like that. So she took that one of her archer arrows and shot it, and she's basically able to control it. So it was basically going to home in right on Benimaru as he was trying to go up into the sky. So basically, if that move were to hit, it probably would have stopped Benimaru's concentration and would have done some bad damage to him, and he wouldn't have been able to deliver the final blow. But Conroe basically saw this attack coming from a mile off, and Conroe was gonna try to do something about it though, but with his with the condition that his body is in, he wasn't able to do anything. So he was like, dang it. And then he started thinking back to what Shinra said, and he said, hey, if you ever need help, call out to me. And Conroe was basically saying, you know what, I can't do this myself though, but Shinra, you gotta save Benimaru. And instantly, you kind of saw, the camera kind of pan all the way throughout the town and stuff, and it hit Shinra. And then once again, you see a little fuzzy feeling within his feet, and you got to see those feet kind of look like skeletons again. And then Shinra was like, wait a second, what is that weird feeling in my legs or whatever though? And then he was like, it feels like somebody's calling out to me. And this is what I wanted to talk about, was the fact that maybe it was through this Adola burst and the Adola link that not only he has maybe a sort of kind of connection with the Infernals that the White Clad is essentially kind of looking for, but he also possibly has connection with other fire soldiers in general, because for some reason that plea was able to reach Shinra, and he was able to kind of feel it within his feet. So that's kind of like a weird thing in itself though, but overall I think it kind of plays into like a greater plot in terms of Shinra being the host to this Adola burst. So we're going to have to see a little bit more information about this in the future though, but overall that's some really interesting developments in terms of Shinra and this whole Adola burst ability. But anyway, he basically felt that and he's like, oh okay, so he looked up towards the sky and he was like, oh shoot, there's an arrow kind of homing straight up onto Benimaru. So without any further ado, he just shot himself in the air like a rocket and was basically heading straight towards that fire arrow. And then you saw the archer girl, she was like, wait, those are the devil's footprints. And I guess that's another thing that kind of ties into Shinra, because he's always been described as a devil though, but maybe there's a little bit more to the reason why he's been being called as a devil with the whole devil footprint thing, because now we kind of got to see, with his feet turning into skeletons like that, why the whole devil's footprint thing may be a thing with Shinra. But anyway, he was rushing up there and he managed to catch up to the fire arrow just in the nick of time. And then all he could do was basically, because that thing was so strong, all he had to do is basically deflect it. So you got to see a little power struggle between him and using his feet to try to kick it off course. But finally, after a matter of time, he was able to basically kick the arrow off to the side and was able to get it off its intended trajectory. And overall, this kind of shocked the archer and was like, dang, this dude actually pulled it off. And then anyway, Benimaru looked down and was like, oh, thank goodness, Shinra, you have my back. And then without any further ado, he just blew up the demonoid infernal. And he basically took one of Konro's, abilities I guess he used to help defeat the demonoid infernal from way back in the day in the past. He basically copied one of his techniques, and it was a really devastating blow. And honestly, it looked like he didn't have much trouble at all with this infernal once he used that move. But however, at the cost of using that move, he basically was tapped out. Like he used all the oxygen up in his body, so he couldn't do anything else. So he was falling back to the ground, and then thankfully, Shinra was able to pick him up before he hit the ground and everything. And then all was good, all was well, and they basically stopped the whole, invasion of all of those infernals popping up within Asakusa. So seeing, all's good, the end's good. So that was basically it in terms of that massive fight. And then you see the white clad, and one of the interesting things they pointed out was, hey, that dude that basically went infernal, he said, you didn't die in vain. You basically gave us a little bit more research information of the matter of fact that we can make more demon infernals. It wasn't like a rarity with what happened like years ago. But anyway, that's basically the kind of conclusion of that whole entire fight. And then we kind of go into the next scene where Company 7 is basically repairing the town from all the destruction, from all the different infernals, and from all the different fighting that happened the previous night. And essentially, Company 8 was there talking to, the Company 7 leader and stuff. And, essentially Benimaru is like, you know what? I really like you, Company 8. You're definitely unlike all the rest of the other companies that are out there today. So essentially, Company 7 and Company 8 basically said, all right, you know what? Now we're going to be official partners. So now, if you need any help, Company 8, you can come to Company 7 for support. And if we find any other useful information for y'all, hey, we'll be basically willing to share it with you. And then, Benimaru as well as Captain Obi, they basically exchanged some sake together, just kind of showing how the new partnership between Company 7 and Company 8 was. And that is essentially where the episode ends. So overall, this was an amazing episode. Got to see some deep lore in terms of Shinra and his whole Adurler burst and why he's basically called the Devil's Footprint at this point in the game. And basically got to see, how Benimaru, being the strongest, fire soldier captain there is, was able to, what seemed to be basically easily dispose of that demonoid infernal though. But overall, the White Clad made its advancements, and it basically picked up all the information and stuff they need to do with the attack on Asakusa. And they were basically researching, what Company 8 was up to as well, though. But overall, that was a good overall arc for the whole entire Company 7 arc. And I really enjoyed it from start to finish, though. But yep, that is about it for this episode review of Fire Force. So if you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button and that subscribe button and that bell to keep up to date on all things Fire Force that I'm reviewing this series. So make sure to tune in next time when I do my episode 15 review, The Blacksmith's Dream. And now with that episode, we're finally going to be able to get the second opening for Fire Force. And I know some of y'all may or may have not already listened to the music though, but I'm really interested in to see, how the opening actually looks as well. And yes, with there being a brand new opening, that means yes, I'm going to have a brand new opening for my Fire Force reviews. So I'm really excited to see, how the opening turns out for, the anime itself. And then that way I'll be able to get to work on my brand new opening for the Fire Force reviews as well though. But that is about it. So until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
I don't care about the evangelist or whoever you work for. Don't you dare act like you own this place. Asakusa is my town. You pick a fight here, you answer to me.
Show him, Benny. You got the whole town cheering for you.
I'm borrowing your move. Sorry, Conro.